Can you hear me, Cole?
I got you, Bruce. What's going on?
How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Hanging in there.
I'm telling you, it's like for real. It's for real Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, it gets old.
Tell you, if we didn't have this though, I mean, imagine how much different it
Yeah,
would be. Do something
yeah, at least
fresh and about
you have
yeah,
you have work, something to prepare for, keep your mind going.
absolutely.
You guys going out much?
No, not really. I mean, we'll just pretty much stay around the house. The little one, she gets her prep. We'll go down to the park up the street, and I'll just I'll pitch to her every once in a while. But mainly she's been doing it because she's a catcher, so she's got a bunch of drills that she does, and she just does them like at the house, and she'll hit off the tee and everything like that. In the out in the driveway, she's got a big net, and just gets that done. And we've been going on rides, like every weekend on a Sunday, we'll just go for a ride.
Yeah, nothing opening up in your area, right?
No, not yet. I mean, I haven't even really looked, so I don't even know, to be honest with you. I mean, the extent of my travels for the most part is 7-Eleven or CVS right up the street.
Same here.
Yep.
It's open. Okay. Are you guys hearing Malik?
Yeah, I got you. What's going on, man?
All right,
Got
cool.
you
How are
now.
you? Bruce,
We're
are
good.
you all good for the third segment? Who you're going to bring into the club?
Yeah, I'm calling you.
Well, that won't serve the viewer, but I would love to go to the club with you. So try and think of somebody else.
I got my guy.
All right, great. Uh,
It doesn't have to be a present player, right?
no. I mean, I don't know. It's up to Cole. It's his list. It's his freaking club.
Oh, you want it
Anybody,
to be
anybody.
present?
No, it can be anybody.
It doesn't even have to be a Cub. It could be Michael Jordan. Even though we know you were a John Paxson guy.
Kind of tournament is that? I was a Luke Longley guy, actually.
Well, even worse.
Thought you were gonna say he's a big Cliff Levingston guy.
Jed Bushler.
Nice,
Hey, there's no I in team, man.
right? Randy Brown lives right up the street from my buddy's mom and dad.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
a
he's
good
still in
guy.
Chicago?
It's last time I knew. Like, I mean, as of shoot, I don't know, 7 to 10 years ago, he did. I mean, he could have moved in the meantime, but and that's all the way out in Naperville, so it's not like he was staying like super close.
Yeah.
Hey, Cole, question for you. For the top of the show,
Yeah.
I was talking to Notch. So I'll start on a single of you, and then you want me to bring you into boxes with Doug. You going with Doug first here, and then bring in
Yep.
everybody else?
I mean, whatever you guys want to do, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I just
So Kevin will do the single. Then he'll bring in. You should go to a 2-shot of him and Doug. Then he's going to tee up Doug. You should have the copy on
Yep.
the 2003 the triple. Then you can
Yep.
ask him about that moment. Then Doug will answer the question. You can go to Doug full, Kevin, and then once Doug answers, you can just go to the 4th shot, and then Cole's going to reintroduce the whole group at that point.
Cool.
Thank you.
Dana, you on here?
trying to remember if Doug and I did baseball tonight together. If we just did sports centers.
Yeah, all good.
Did you hear? Are you hearing me, Cole?
I hear you now.
Okay, I said, did you do some baseball tonight?
Yeah, like 8.
Gotcha.
I did them with. I know I did them with Sut. Like my first one was with Sut and Aaron Boone.
Looks like
There he is.
There he
Dougie
is.
Fresh.
Oh, hey,
6
Bruce, let me
minutes. Dougie Fresh, you're on.
up. The headphones are on. Yeah. So you guys going? Oh, you guys have earbuds. You're way ahead of me, man. I have these beasts right here. These are kind of cool though. They're noise canceling.
Those are nice.
Okay,
Those Bose?
I'm not hearing you guys. Are you guys talking? Are you hearing me? I am not.
I was
You
talking.
hear me?
Can you hear me, Doug?
Okay, hold on. Or maybe I'm not in the mix yet.
Here we go. We can hear. I can hear you, Doug.
Let me close this.
Yeah, I got your mic open here.
Okay, here. Oh, I got you. All right. Yep, I got you.
You hear us
Can
all
you hear me,
now?
Doug?
That's perfect.
Yeah, it was on my end. I had the mute thing over here. Sorry about
okay.
that.
There you go.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
How's things, man?
Good, man. How are you holding up, Cole?
Yeah, I can't complain. You know, it's could be worse. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows it could be a whole lot better. But you know, we could just sit and wait, just ready for baseball to come back, hopefully.
Yeah, man. We're holding it down, man. 4 kids. We got homeschool chaos, and we're just doing it. But thankful we're together. Got the space to kind of pull it off. The technology, so we still
Yeah.
feel plugged in. But we're all same place, man. Hour to hour sometimes, and trying to figure it out. So we're
No,
yeah,
I hear you.
yeah. So
Hey, Doug, you
So,
got me. This is Malik, the producer. How are you?
hey, how you doing, Malik?
Good, good. How are you doing, Tony?
Good. How are you?
what's up,
Good.
Tom?
What's up? Let me get the
Okay.
headphones
Uh,
on.
I'll run everybody through the traffic once you guys get set up and comfortable. Hey, Doug, if you could try and put that cord underneath your shirt, that'd be best.
Okay, let me.
See if
Okay,
you
yeah,
have enough slack.
Okay, let me unplug it real quick, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Got this crazy. Probably don't, but I could. Should I wear a sport coat or something?
No,
Let's see. Hold on.
casual.
Yeah, because it's. Yeah, I don't have. Let me see how I can do this here. I got to
Same
look
thing.
at
You're
reverse.
trying to go underneath your shirt too, Tony.
Yeah, I
Let me
did.
think.
Can you just
It doesn't.
unplug it, Doug, and then take it through your shirt and then down 3 buttons and out?
Yeah, I have. It has like almost its own IFP. This is old school Bose here. I could get a different headphone though. Let me see how I can do it. All right, give me a sec to see if I can figure this out. One sec.
Okay.
It's weird. I'll show you why it looks. It's weird. See, it has this. It has this.
Oh, I
part to
got
it.
you.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
got
So
you.
let me check. Hold on a sec. I'll try it. All right. So if I do this,
That looks better,
Tony,
Tony.
can I just get a mic check from you?
if I can.
You got me, Tony?
Mic check. Let me
Yeah,
stand.
sorry,
I'll
I
be right
got you.
back real quick.
Just a mic check
You
from
guys
you.
got me good?
Yep.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Cubs 360. Mic check.
Gotcha.
Cool.
All right. I think I got something here. It's a little better. I'll do my
And hey, Kevin
70
Riley, if you got me, man,
dust here
that
thing's
green
not going to
screen,
work for everybody.
pretty sweet. Easy up, easy down.
Oh, it showed up already? Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Like I had it up. I had it up ready to go for today. I just put it down.
All right. I think I got it.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right.
Kevin, did you not hear me when I was talking to you about that?
Okay. What's up?
Now, so are you on Teams normally?
No, I was talking. No, I'm talking to you right now on VMix, but I said something to you on Teams about that. We'll talk about it after.
All right. My apologies.
Okay, no worries. It's all good. That looks better, Doug. Thank you.
Cool. Figured it out.
Nice.
All right. There we go. I'm just checking on getting the rundown pulled up here.
Yep. So for the A block fellas, Cole's going to say hello. Then he's going to set up Doug. Doug, this is our first time having Doug on the show. Doug, we're going to show you your triple. You're not going to see any video, just so you know. All the video gets done in post. So, just keep reacting, but it'll be there in post. I'll make sure I get you a copy of the show after so you can see it. But Cole's going to tee you up, show the triple that you had in the NLCS in 2003. He'll ask you about that moment, how it felt, and you can just give a good 20 to 30-second answer on that. Then Cole will introduce the rest of the group, and then he's going to tee up our first topic, which is how important is it for the Cubs to get off to a good start? So we know that we're going to be looking at some kind of condensed season. And the Cubs sometimes have been notoriously bad starters. And then, there's a whole theory about, not just the Cubs, but teams that play in cold weather, they get off to, bad starts. So this year is going to be different. We're going to ask you guys just about the importance of, teams getting off to a good start, because after those first 25 games, you could really, really be looking at a bleak situation. So we'll just have that hypothetical conversation. And then eventually Cole is going to get us to break, and he's going to tease his interview that he did with Mark Grace yesterday. But again, I'm going to be talking to you guys and directing the conversation via your chat. So please let me know everybody is seeing my message. Can you give me a 4-shot, Kevin?
I got it.
Are you seeing it,
I
Doug?
see it.
Got it. Perfect.
Yep.
So what I'll do, Doug, is I'll just put stuff like this.
Yeah. Can you do a countdown on the login? Gotcha.
So we're not talking over each other.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're off and running. Okay. So
Who you want me to lead?
high energy,
First
guys. I
question.
know you guys are talking to TV screen, so like I always remind you, a lot of good energy here. To unload, I'll be dictating
It's like
things.
somebody's cutting grass at
As
Tony's
long
house.
as you're going,
hold on.
So. Is that your house, Tony?
Asking to be quiet.
I could
Is that you,
see it in his
Tony?
eyes. He was like, "Oh."
That's me. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Hold on.
What is
If
it?
it's
Is
too
someone cutting the grass?
different room.
Is it someone
Yeah,
cutting the grass?
I'm more likely to have like 4
Yeah.
kids burst into this room at any time, so that's what I might be up against.
Well, Bruce has got a cat on his lap, so we're just doing our show.
Nice.
We're all in organic setting,
Gizmo.
so it is what it is, guys. So we'll give it a second. Kevin, how are you doing?
Just double checking everything about one more.
Okay. Cool. You're good on that
Mike,
traffic for the
Yeah. And that's going to be our Miller Lite refreshing take of the day off the top, right? The first 25 games.
Correct. Let's just go to Doug. We'll just go back to Doug first.
Doug.
Yeah.
Doug, Bruce, Tony.
That sounds great.
Cool.
All right, we should be good.
On your end, Tony, we should be good.
Yeah,
Okay,
hopefully.
cool. Yeah, no worries. We get it. It's all good.
We just had to grease the wheel a little bit and tell him to give us an hour.
So, Kevin, when you're ready, just give me a single of Cole, and we'll start. All right, Cole, you ready?
Yep.
All right, everybody. High energy. Let's have fun here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey there, Cubs fans. I'm Cole Wright, and welcome once again to a Friday edition of Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite. Now, for the first time since 1884, well, the Cubs, they did not play in the month of April, so hopefully the month of May brings you health, wealth, and some Chicago Cubs baseball. Now, today on the show, we're going to try to see if our guys can get into Club Cole, but they're going to bring a Cub with them. So will they get denied or will they gain entrance? Only time will tell. Plus, we're also best duos, and we're going to take a spin around Major League Baseball with our guy, our first baseman, Mark Grace. You saw him right here on Cubs 360 not too long ago. But first things first, let's meet the guys, and it's his Cubs 360 debut at
Can we stop down?
debut.
Cole, can we stop down? Not your fault. We just took a hit. We just took a hit back there. Let's just start over.
Okay.
You were perfect, though. Everything was good on your end.
And then I'll bring in
All
Doug
right.
first here for you.
Yep, he'll bring in Doug. Yep. Here we go.
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey there, Cubs fans. It's Friday, and welcome to another edition of Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite. I'm Cole Wright. Now, excuse me. Start one more time. My bad.
Here we go. 5, 4,
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Boom. And just like that, Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite is on the air. I'm Cole Wright once again. And just in case you didn't know, for the first time since 1884, the Cubs did not play a game in the month of April. So let's hope that the month of May brings a little health, wealth, and some Chicago Cubs baseball. Now, today on Cubs 360, we're going to see if the guys can get into Club Cole and see if they can get in with a former member of the Cubs or anyone of their choice. Will they gain entrance or will they be denied? We're also going to take a look at the best duos in all of baseball, and we're going to take a spin around the bigs with our first baseman, Mark Grace. But first things first, let's meet the players, and he's making his at-home Cubs 360 debut. It's Doug Glanville. Now, we know Doug back in 2003, that NLCS run, it was something to behold. He got to the edge, but not quite there. Now, as we take a trip down memory lane, we all know how things went down. You made it to the postseason in each of the first 4 years. Oh, my goodness. I'm at the wrong spot. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if this document jumped on me. I'm sorry, gang.
You had it right. All you had to do was just keep going and just.
No, because I read the wrong. The document jumped, and it was the VO where it said the Cubs made it the first 4 years, and that's not pertinent to anything back in 2003. That's my mistake.
Gotcha.
Like I said, the document. I don't know if it.
But you were on the right path. You should have just at that point teed him up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just I'd get to Doug in that VO, but it was in the wrong spot. Apologies, guys.
No worries. No worries. All good.
Case of the Mondays on a Friday.
Yep, it's all good. It's been a good week, so we'll finish strong here. Here we go, Cole. 5,
Yep.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Come one, come all, and welcome to a Friday edition of Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite. I'm Cole Wright, as always. Now, for the first time since 1884, the Cubs, they didn't play a game in the month of April. So let's hope that May brings a little health, wealth, and once again, the return of Chicago Cubs baseball. Now, today on the show, we're going to see if the guys can get into Club Cole. They're going to bring a Cub with them. So will they gain entrance or will they be denied. We'll talk about that and more, including baseball's best duos. Who is it? And we'll take a spin around the bigs with our guy, our first baseman, Mark Grace. But first things first, time to meet the players, and he's making his at-home debut right here on Cubs 360. It's Doug Glanville, a man who spent 2 stints with the Cubs, and most notably 2003. Now, we all remember that NLCS run back in the day, Doug. And speaking of that run, let's take a look back at Game 3 against the Florida Marlins. 11th inning, you come up to bat as a pinch hitter, and you knock a triple. Now, that provides a go-ahead run, and the Cubs, of course, would go on to a victory 5-4 to take that 2-1 lead in this series. And we all know how that series ended, but everything was made all right back in 2016. Doug, when it comes to your favorite moments as a Cub, was that one of them?
Absolutely, Colin, and it's great to be on here. That changed everything. And when you think about my journey, right, I was traded back to the Cubs. I was drafted by the Cubs in '91 and made my major league debut in '96. But then, was traded away. It was tough because even though I had a chance to start in Philly, just to be able to come back in a trade in '03 kind of brought it full circle. And it was a tough year initially. '02, at the end of the season, I lost my father. I got hurt that season, and just to get back on the field and have that moment back home where it all began with the Cubs really brought it all together. So the electricity in the stadium, even though we were on the road, was transformational. And, we thought we had it, right? We were there right on the doorstep. Yeah. So that was my only playoff experience, but I'll always remember it.
Well, we're glad to have you back in 2003, and we're glad to have you on the show today. So let's meet your partners in crime. You see him here almost every single day. He's covered sports in Chicago for 30 plus years, and he covered that '03 run. It's Bruce Levine. He's a Marquee Sports Network contributor, and also he's our Marquee Sports Network digital content manager. He's a Friday staple here on the show with Tony Andracki. Now, guys, we're getting closer to playing baseball, as we know, and playoff baseball, well, let's hope that's a little bit closer as well, because that second season, it's all important. And the Cubs, they made it to the postseason in each of the first 4 years under skipper Joe Madden. Now, those 4 teams always had a winning record on May 1st. Take note of that. Now, the Cubs, they made it to the postseason 20 times in the modern era. That's since 1900. Now, only once did they do so with a losing record on May 1st, and that was under Sweet Lou Piniella, who's also a contributor here at the network, on May 1. And we're getting to our Miller Lite refreshing take of the day just a little bit early, guys. And Doug, I'll start with you, because when it comes to the first 25 games of this season, when it does actually get underway, well, that's going to be the deal sealer for the Cubs. Yes or no?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it, because there's 2 factors you have to consider. I mean, one, you talk about history of just getting off to a good start, but the other factor is you talk about 25 games, there might only be 60, so if you get off slowly in what is going to absolutely be an abridged and shortened season, you can find yourself swimming upstream right out of the gate. So that first, 30 days, whatever it may be, is going to be absolutely critical for the Cubs, because right now the landscape could shape up, or it could be anyone's chance to win this division or win however structure they create, because you're just dealing with a condensed baseball season.
And let's project it to July 1st, for example. That's the given date that we all hope baseball is back after abbreviated spring training. So if we forward to July 1st, you're going to be talking about series with Tampa Bay, with St. Louis, with Cincinnati, with Atlanta. These are all teams, and then throw 4 games in with the White Sox in the first 20. These are all teams that are 90-plus projected teams, all playoff caliber teams. So that makes it even more crucial for the Cubs to get off to a good start. And everybody's starting from scratch, as we know, like opening day in April. Only this time around, we won't have the weather impacting people quite as much. No cold weather in the Midwest cities, which should make it more ideal for the Cubs to play baseball the way they want to.
Yeah, and no cold weather would be good for Anthony Rizzo, too, who has gotten off to a couple cold starts in the beginning of the last couple of seasons. So I'm sure he'll like that. But honestly, I don't know if this changes much for the Cubs, because Theo Epstein had already put the onus on the players to get out to a quick start, regardless of whether this was going to be a 162-game season, a 100-game season, whatever. So I think they understand They know the score. They understand what's going to be in front of them, that they're going to have to get out to this really quick start for, like Doug said, I mean, there might be only 80 games in general, but regardless of who they're playing, because any team, even the Pirates, can be a contender when you're talking about such a small sample size. So regardless of who they play, they do absolutely have to get out to a hot start.
Yeah, Doug, we touched on the 25 games and the importance of getting off to a quick start there, but whether it's 60, 80, or 100, in your eyes, what's feasible for the 2020 season?
Yeah, well, right now just the clock's ticking, and I hear a lot about July potentially being a start. So, if you get into July, you can play a decently robust season. That's sort of equivalent to a second half of the season. And the other question, to Bruce's point, is what is the season going to look at? Is that schedule going to stay firm? I don't know if they're going to even get off the schedule. They might say, well, we're going to just do divisional play if we're out here in August. So the wild card factor is still, and I mean that more literally than figuratively, but the wild card factor is wide open, and you just don't know how it's going to shape. And so teams that can figure out how to adapt and adjust, especially the Cubs with a new manager, you're going to have to figure out how to work what is new information coming in. But that shorter season, you got to get out the gate early.
Yeah, and the new manager's a great point. That was actually what I was going to bring up, was David Ross has never managed a 162 game season nor an 80 game season. So in some regards, maybe he and the Cubs are in a little bit better position here. But regardless, I mean, Ross is really, really good at getting the most out of guys, at challenging guys or inspiring guys in short bursts. And that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a baseball season that is going to be a lot more like a sprint than a marathon. And I think Ross is actually a really, really good guy to manage that. Whereas Joe Madden was really good at the 162 game seasons, making sure that pitchers weren't burning out, that position players weren't burning out as well. So I think Ross is actually the perfect guy for the Cubs in this spot.
Yeah, and back to Tony's initial point about how the Cubs are on notice to start hot, according to Theo Epstein. Well, we heard the same thing last year, and what happened? They got off to a very slow start. So there's, those other 29 teams that kind of want to start out pretty hot as well. I think in Major League Baseball, professional sports, you can say whatever you want about wanting to get off to a hot start. It just really is all about how prepared you are, how ready you are to go, how mentally prepared you are. And it's going to be a challenge for all 30 teams to be mentally prepared after this long layoff.
Yeah. And I'd add to that you're considering what you're dealing with on a personal level too, right? You talk about getting ready to go physically and sort of training, which is highly challenging at this time, and the uncertainty about what spring training will look like. But you're also dealing with whatever personal challenges you have, health and safety of family members, how that's going to play out. Those things are those intangibles. But if teams are communicating, for example, take someone like Terry Francona doing Zoom calls, you have to gel at this time as in the best way you can, because you want to get out the gate knowing the signs, knowing how everybody's going to work together. And that closeness may matter, because all of a sudden you play well and you're thinking as a single organism. Once this abbreviated season start, that's a chance for you to get out the gate and gain some real traction and ground over anyone else.
Well, we know that fast start's always important, but let's not forget a season ago, the Washington Nationals at one point, they had less than 20 wins and more than 30 losses. So it is definitely a marathon, not always a sprint. Now, still ahead right here on Cubs 360, iconic former Cubs first baseman Mark Grace. He's going to join the show. That's when we return. So what does he think about the changes that could occur in 2020? And how will David Ross manage his former teammates? Stick around. We're taking a deep dive with Gracie right here on Cubs 360. Presented by Miller Lite.
All right, good job, guys.
What were they at one point? 19 and 31 or 19 and 34?
Yeah.
I knew they had
19 and 31.
31? 19 and 31, yeah. That's why I didn't know. So that's why I said less than 20 wins and more than 30 losses.
Who's that? Well, you think about the Nats, because weren't they were something ridiculous last season, weren't they? Like 12 under, 10 under. There was a period
19 and
where
31.
that was it. Oh, yeah.
Was it like on June 10th or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that was record setting. But you don't have a chance to do that this time around. I don't think. Imagine starting off 19-31 in an 80 game schedule. Good luck.
Unless there's like a bigger playoff pool, that's the only way I think that because then
Right.
teams with lesser records. But then I still think it's
Yeah.
going to favor the teams with the better records. So
Yeah. No,
Hey
it's a good
Cole,
point.
all I need you to do for the
No
B
doubt.
block is read your bump.
no doubt.
Kevin, whenever you're ready, just give me a single and let him read that because that's already on tape.
Ready.
You good, Cole?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Up next on the show, the guys, they're bringing their entourages to Club Cole, except they can't bring Vinny Chase, Turtle, or Ari Gold. They have to bring some former Cubs if they want to get past this bouncer. So will they be stuck in line waiting all night, or could they land in VIP? That's next, right here. This is Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite.
Cole, can you try and cut that down a little and do it again?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, still ahead. The guys, they're bringing their entourages to the club, but they can't bring Ari Gold. So they have to bring former Cubs. So will they get in or will they be stuck waiting in line? That's next, right here, when Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite, rolls on.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go over the traffic here for the C block.
Yep.
So, Kevin, we'll start on the single with Cole. He's going to read a couple reads. He's going to read on camera, and then Cole, you can look down and read the tweets. Okay,
Yep.
and then when you're done reading the tweets, you can just tee up the panel on who they're bringing to the club with them, and you can every one you just decide, are you going to let them in, and then the guys are going to have some fun in post with it. So guys, just take time explaining why you want to bring this person into this fictional club with you and kind of have fun with it. So I think it'd just be smart. Let's just keep it simple. We'll go down the line. We'll go Bruce, Doug, and then Tony. Okay. So Cole will set you guys up each time, though. Cole will set you guys up each time. So Bruce, and then Cole will come in and set up Doug, and then Doug will go, and then Tony will get set up again by Cole.
Okay. So
I'm just teeing all these
just
cats
go
up individually, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're
What's your
gonna retee?
question, Doug?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
going
I
to
was saying
retee.
he'll. Okay, cool.
He'll retee. Yep, and I'll put it over on in the messenger.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right,
cool.
Kevin, you
Yeah.
can start with the single whenever you're ready. Thank you. All right, hold on, Cole. Let me reset my clock.
Yep.
All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back to Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. I'm Cole Wright. Now, just the other night on Twitter, I decided to have a little fun, and I posed the question: if you wanted to try to get in the club with a former Cub, who would it be? Would you get in, or would you be left out front, just kind of twiddling your thumbs, waiting around? And let me tell you, the responses, well, they were second to none. So let's have a look. Now, my guy Owen Reynoldson, he had to say, try to get in the club with Mike Fontenot. Now, Owen, my response to you was, step this way right through the velvet rope, but only if Mike Fontenot is bringing Ryan Terrio. We know how those guys used to roll back in the day at LSU. Now, J. Scott Smith, he's bringing up the Hall of Famer Lee Smith. So naturally, of course, he's getting in. We're going to put him at a Cooperstown table with Andre Dawson, and maybe the color scheme would be yellow with red lettering, and we're going to call that the Carefree Corner. Now, last but not least, you see him here on Cubs 360. It's Matt Spiegel, and he's trying to get in with former catcher Michael Barrett. I told him, I said, he's not getting in because Carlos Zambrano may be working the door. We remember how things went down between that pair back in 2007. Now back here with the guys, Bruce, Doug, and Tony, and it's a bring a Cub to the club night. And are you guys getting in? Do you have sneakers and a fitted on? Bruce, I'll start with you. You look like a gym shoe kind of guy.
Well, I'm getting in with the Red Baron and Marquis own Rick Sutcliffe because Rick Sutcliffe knows
Nice.
everybody and everybody knows Rick Sutcliffe. So there's no question I'm getting into your club and everybody else's club with the Red Baron on my side. I'm sliding right in by him, the 6'6" and 280 pounds. Sorry, son, it is about 280 right now. I'm getting in with you.
Yeah. I think the bouncer at the front is just seeing the size of Rick Sutcliffe and saying, you know what, guys, just come on in. Don't worry about it. Drinks on the house. All right, Doug. Trying to get into the club. Who are you bringing along with yourself?
Well, Bruce is dead on working with Sut. I mean, he gets in anywhere. But I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to guarantee that I'm going to get in because I'm going to bring Kyle Farnsworth. So just in case you tried to mess with me and try to remove me from the premises, we're going to go 5th degree black belt, jujitsu, whatever he's going to put on Paul Wilson if he's the bouncer. That's how it's going to go down. So I feel very confident the bouncer will not only let us in, he will get out of the way, and he might actually serve us drinks the rest of the evening.
And he might hit you with one of those linebacker hits because if I'm not mistaken, he's playing in like a 35-plus men's official tackle football league, semi-pro. So he's going philanthropic style on the gridiron. Tony, how about you? You have to get into the club. You're coming through. You may have gym shoes. You may have a baseball cap on, but you have a Cub with you that's going to let you gain entrance. Who is it?
Oh, I'm going to go a little off the board here with Chris Bryant because everybody would be so surprised to see Bryant at a club. He's not a guy that goes out a lot, not a guy that drinks or parties at all. So I think Chris Bryant would automatically gain me entry. And even without that, are you really going to turn down an MVP and a Rookie of the Year? No way. Plus, once he gets in, everybody's going to mob to him. The bar is going to be clear. I'm going to have easy access to a drink.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be like, oh, look at him. He's a new father and he's out. He's not here for a long time, but he would be there for a good time. Now, guys, there's still more to come right here on Cubs 360. We're leaving the club and we're heading a different direction because we have a Cubs classic for you that's coming your way at 7:30 tonight, and it's that 2008 clincher against the Cardinals. The Cubs, they locked up a second straight NL Central title, and they clinched back-to-back postseason berths for the first time in 100 years. And Ryan Dempster and Mark DeRosa, they were on those teams, and they made quite the pair together. So we're going to look ahead at the best tandems in MLB history. Of course, that and more when Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite, returns. Stay put.
Good job with that, guys.
Yeah, did you see Kyle Farnsworth playing in that football league?
I haven't seen the footage though, so I was trying
man.
to Google him.
He's got like a whole sizzle reel.
Yeah. I was trying to check Google, make sure he didn't do anything too out there. But
No.
I mean, I played with him.
He's playing
I played with
football.
him for a minute. Yeah, he's just he was intense, and a switch like boom, and but that charged him down. Don't do it.
That guy immediately had to regret that decision.
Yeah. Well, I thought
Hey, Bruce,
about
you got me
Randy
here?
Myers. He was my backup. Remember when Randy Myers did the chokehold on the guy
Bruce, can you just
charging him?
move your microphone away from that top button? I just want to make sure it's not hitting against it. Other side. There you go. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Test 1.
Can you
2,
maybe
3.
try putting it on the inside of the shirt? Let's see.
It's not going to make it.
No, you don't have to unbutton or anything. Just move it on the inside of the collar. And let's see how that works. And then give me a 10 count.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I got you loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes. All right, cool. All right, well, just, do you send those to him or how do you do that? Yeah, just make sure there's no mark references or anything, but we'll redo that. All right, thanks. All right, guys, so this is our last segment. and then I'm going to need Cole and Doug to stick around after. We're going to do another segment with you guys. But for this one, we're just asking everybody based off of our Off the Mound show that we have tonight with Ryan Dempster. He's got Michael Young and Mark DeRosa on the show. So we're just going to ask you guys who are the best duos, some of the best duos you've seen current or past in baseball. So for this, we'll go reverse down the line. So we'll go Tony, Doug, and then Bruce. Okay. So,
Right. So when you say duos, you're talking about.
yeah, we're
Right.
talking. We're talking Bass Brothers. We're talking Man O'Maris. We're talking Bonds and Kent, Baggio, Baggio.
Biggio Bagwell.
Bagwell, the bees. Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
Bagwell,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
But yeah, duos like
And
that.
Berkman.
So we're just gonna have some fun with
Yeah.
it.
All right. Yeah, no doubt.
Is it Walker Galarraga up in Montreal?
That could be one.
Yeah. Right. We're sticking
I
Cubs.
feel like
right,
that's
or
one
no?
that really sneaks under the radar.
No, you can do current. You
No,
can
no.
do current or past, and doesn't have to be Cubs.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That's why I
So,
got. I was a little narrow. I stuck with the Cubs family there. Yeah,
all
Bash
good.
Brothers.
Who we going to start with, Malik, on that one?
Tony, Doug, and then Bruce, and then just say goodbye off of that.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm gonna keep it in the Cubs family, since I feel pretty confident in that one.
You got Ernie and Billy.
Oh no, that would be good.
Or
was gonna
Billy
go
and
Brizzo.
Ron
I
Santo.
gotta go Brizzo.
All right,
Just
here we go.
2016.
Can you give me? Yeah, we'll just do it all on the 4-shot. No, you can do it all on the 4-shot, Kevin.
What's your time, Malik?
Yeah, you guys will have about 20 to 30 seconds each. Okay. All right, here we go, guys.
And that shows that it's just it's 7 o'clock sharp, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure because the
Yep.
game's at 7:30. Cool.
You're reacting to his promo. He throws it to you.
Yep.
So just say something like, "Yeah, well, I can't wait to see that," and then you can go with your duo.
That's
All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, can't wait to see that one right there, Ryan. And how about that? 7 o'clock sharp with Mark DeRosa and Michael Young, both professional hitters. And how about Ryan Dempster right there? Just
Hey, let's start
having fun,
again.
talking shots.
It's our fault. Took a hit. Technical hit. Nothing. All good. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Ryan, can't wait for that one. 7 o'clock with yourself, Mark DeRosa, and Michael Young. And how about Ryan Dempster? Just talking baseball and chopping things up on the show Off the Mound. Now back here with my guys, Bruce, Doug, and Tony. And Demp and D-Row, as we remember, well, they helped the Cubs to back-to-back division titles for the first time since divisional play. And they were quite the duo. So, Tony, when it comes to magnificent duos, Batman and Robin style in Major League history, Cubs history as well, who are you going with?
So I'm cheating a little bit. I got two. Just Cubs history, I think it's Lester and Ross. And when those two guys came over, they really changed the culture in Chicago and helped obviously win the World Series. But a little outside the box, I'm going to go with Elvis Andrus and Adrian Beltre. Watching those two guys have fun in the field when there were pop-ups on the left side of the infield in Texas, I just love that kind of stuff. It kind of transcended baseball in a lot of ways. So that duo really sticks out to me.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's I love those guys. They are so much fun. So you talk about fun. So appreciate you bringing that up, Tony. They're great. I kept it just in the Cubs world, so I'm going to go with Brizzo. I mean, it's hard not to look at Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, what they did in this majestic 2016 season to bring a world championship to Chicago, especially coming up as a Cub, knowing that history and trying to get to this place. So that this sort of sums up 100 plus years of struggles to finally bring it to Chicago home. So baseball is a huge place, but I'm going to stick in the Cubs world and go with Brizzo.
You can always go with Gehrig and Ruth and Mantle and Maris, but I'm going to stay
Oh,
a little bit closer to our time frame and go ahead with Big Poppy and Manny. Manny being Manny, Big
Yeah,
Poppy doing his
nice.
thing. That was dynamite. That was electric. That was fun on and off the field. So those are my two guys.
Yeah, the guys could hit just a little bit too. I think a tandem that maybe gets lost in the shuffle just a little bit, maybe Larry Walker and Andres Galarraga. We know how good that Expos team could have been,
oh yeah.
but if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we know how the rest of that goes. Now, guys, our time here, it's all done with on Cubs 360. So for everybody at Marquee Sports Network, including Bruce, Doug, and Tony, I'm Cole Wright, and make it a good one. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you on Monday, everybody.
All right, you guys. Bruce and Tony, you guys are clear. Thank you. Have a good weekend. I'll
All right.
definitely be in touch
Take care,
this week.
Doug. See you,
Thank
Cole.
you,
Good
guys.
Hey,
stuff,
Bruce,
Have
guys.
a
good
good
seeing you.
weekend.
Yeah, keep you posted.
Later, gentlemen.
See you guys.
All right, guys.
So, Doug, we're going to just tape a segment with you, just ask you some general questions about what's going on in baseball, so we could
Yeah.
maybe use that at a later time, not knowing when we'll get you on the air again. So we'll
Okay.
just can this segment and go from there. But
Sounds
I'll
good.
definitely make sure you get a copy of the show so you can see how it looked today.
All right. Good. Look forward to it.
What are we hitting them with, Malik? I'm sorry, I was just looking at.
Similar to what we did yesterday with Grace, you should have the questions, not should have just sent them to you.
Oh, did you? I was just going back to the ones with Grace.
Yeah, those will actually work. I think we're just
That's cool, no doubt. I can just score back to those. That'll work. Unless these new ones.
all right. Cool.
Here we go.
Actually, not just send them to you.
Yep, I got it.
All right, Kevin. So you just stick on the two, and then when Doug answers, you can go single.
And
Similar
I'm
to
using
what we
a
did
360 bug.
Yeah,
It's all
this will all be
360.
360. Yeah. All right, here we go, fellas. 3, 2, 1. Whenever you're ready, Cole.
Time now to take a deeper dive into all things Cubs as well as Major League Baseball. And who better to do it with than former Cub Doug Glanville? We remember Doug, of course, from that 2003 NLCS run. It was a run like none other. Now, Doug, let's get down to business because we talk about baseball in 2020, and there are reports that have indicated 3 different divisions, 10 teams divided up across the nation, and they do away with National League and American League affiliations. So when it comes to the 2020 season and actually getting on the field and playing, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the proposals out there, and we know that information keeps changing. So getting stuck on one, it could be something else in about 30 days, and that's where we are right now. But the idea of possibly having almost these sort of 3 different leagues is trying to be responsive to where we are right now, and that is trying to minimize travel, trying to contain something. And then, maybe when the postseason long, you open some things up by then, which will be much later in the year. But those considerations are all being weighed. And, you recognize with the Cubs, for example, trying to figure out, well, how do we strategize? Well, they don't know what structure they're working in yet. But there's no doubt that the sensitivity to player safety, family safety, and just the community at large, they're trying to find creative solutions. And that's certainly one of them.
Now, Doug, as a former National League player and a baseball purist, I don't know if you've heard, but there are rumblings that there could be a universal DH in 2020. Now, I don't know if that's going to actually take place, but if it does, do you see that actually moving forward past this season?
Oh, it's possible. I mean, that this debate is, going on, and it's part of the fun of baseball to debate National League versus American League and style. Like I grew up a National League fan, and I played most of my career in the National League, and I have a great, connection with that and a great appreciation for the strategy side of it. But I know that when you talk about offense and you're trying to create things, there's much more attraction to having a DH and getting in there. And especially now when pitchers might come on and there's questions about injuries because we don't know how much training they're going to have into 2020. 2020 is an opportunity to innovate and to try different things because we have this unusual season. And that might be one thing to experiment and just see how things go. So I wouldn't be surprised. And if it does happen and it does go well, then going forward, it's a lot easier to make it part of the future in 2021 and beyond.
Now, Doug, one of the main proposals for the 2020 season is playing, but playing in front of no fans. What would that be like as a player going out there, getting ready, going through the motions, and then there's no one there to see it?
I mean, that is tough. It's hard to even imagine. I have to go back to, when I played in high school when there was like 8 people at the game or something.
Yeah.
But it, at the major league level where the fans are basically a direct part of the baseball family. And you think of exciting players, Javi Baez, or people who interact with the fans so well, that is a huge loss. And so you don't know how they're going to replace that, if it's using technology or adding access or have fans make the lineups. I have no idea. But the loss of the responsiveness of fans and just the sheer silence that you're going to have when they're not there is going to be stark for players. You're used to responding and interacting. And I got so much out of fans, not only just from support, but just the way that they told stories and wrote letters and came to games and said, I had a moment with a fan. And some of those moments really changed my career. So it's a big loss to not have them there, but it seems like that is the more likely scenario.
Maybe we're going the way of artificial crowds with cardboard cutouts and pumped in crowd noise. Who knows? We'll see when everything finally
Yeah.
rolls around. But what's realistic, Doug? Because we know we're not going to get a 162 game season. Is it going to be 60 games, 80 games, 100 games? What do you say?
I certainly think you start with a half season. You shoot for getting, which is familiar. It's like, okay, second half and after the All-Star break or something like that. And certainly it's out of the league's hands on how that plays out from a health and safety standpoint. But that would be a good marker to say, okay, we got a half a season, that's full. But it's going to keep dropping off as time goes by and as we find out the response of what happens when there is some sort of modified spring training. And the less games you have, the more important it is to get off to a good start. The more possibilities there are of teams out of totally left field come and cause havoc and maybe win a championship. Teams that are gelling and finding ways to connect and stay together in this isolation may have a leg up on those intangibles. So I think they're shooting for at least a half a season, and from there they're just going to have to continue to adapt.
Yeah, now when it comes to the postseason, things will certainly look different, as will the regular season. But this Cubs team, they've made that second season in 4 of the last 5 years. So why do you think that this 2020 team is going to be ready to roll and they'll compete once the season finally does get underway?
This 2020 team is highly motivated from a year ago. The struggles and the gradual decline, which sort of fell off the cliff in 2019, there's a lot of players in that locker room that want to change that narrative and really get back to where they were. And David Ross is such a key part of that because he is part of that history where the World Series was acquired in 2016. So they're looking to get back, and that motivation is strong. And we heard a lot about it ever since the season ended last year. So that's the intangible. And Ross being able to innovate, knowing these players, having personal relationships is a huge asset to their ability to get through this because they're not starting from scratch. They're starting with someone who already knew these players. And that environment is going to be a big advantage going forward.
Well, you talk about David Ross, how he knows these players. He played with a whole bunch of these guys. So, Doug, how does he make that transition? How does he let everybody know that, I'm not David Ross, the player. I'm now David Ross, your skipper?
Slowly, you make it slowly. And because you're right, as a player, I just think of players I've played with who are still young and trying to become managers. It's a different relationship. And it's a little strange when all of a sudden they have to fine you or bench you or something. He has to continue to establish that. And I think that's what he did work on a lot this spring training, making sure he did have certain sort of lines in the sand, especially someone like Anthony Rizzo. You joke around, you can still be part of the team, but you have to have a different level of communication. So that's a tough transition, and I'm sure there's a learning curve to that, but it's been done more and more. You're seeing relatively young managers in their mid 40s that recently retired having quite a good amount of success in the game, Craig Counsell and so on. So I think David Ross is really primed to have that same type of success.
Doug, when you take a look at David Ross's roster, top to bottom, up and down, is there any guy that jumps off the page and reminds yourself of you back in the day?
It's a good question. I think of Albert Almora Jr. I've had a lot of fun, talking to him this spring training and just engaging. And he's going to make contact. He's not going to hit a ton of home runs, and he plays good defense and makes good decisions on the bases. I really appreciate watching him, especially as a center fielder. I really love his game. One thing that was really shocking is when we did an interview, I talked about how when I came up, I had to get these great jumps, and I learned under Jimmy Pearsall, right? He was like, so literally when the ball was out of the pitcher's hand, I was already moving to where I anticipated the ball to be based on the catcher setup, based on the control, based on the hitter, all these scouting reports. So I was like, okay. And then I asked him, what do you do to get these great jumps so that you're in motion, because you're always looking like you get these great jumps? And he says, well, with the modern scouting, I'm already there. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. You just threw out my entire career training right there in one sentence. But the scouting is so deep and rich, and he's been a student of that. And I have a great appreciation for that, because he does look under every rock to get a defensive advantage.
Now, Doug, hopefully 2020 arrives sooner than later. And if you could give any one guy on that Cubs roster a solid piece of sage advice, what would it be this year?
I'll tell you, I mean, well, if I think it as almost a team, if I gave a speech for this team, I'd start with just perspective, just talk about perspective, because, you probably thought last year was the end of the world after, a really horrible finish. Last 2 Septembers have been underachieved. And now you have a whole new perspective on everything, right? Life and priorities. And it should shift away from what really matters and getting to the core of having a family as a team and really connecting. I would say you got to focus on that and let that inspire you to be your best, to be as great as this team is and capable of being. So that's a chance. This is an opportunity to be able to reset around these priorities and let it all hang out. This is, so what? You went 0 for 4. Now we have a different perspective about it. And I think that's going to help them really recapture some of the things they achieved over the last 5 years.
There you have it. Doug Glanville, former Cub, and my nominee for the next commissioner of Major League Baseball. Doug, thanks so much, as always, for stopping by Cubs 360. Appreciate the time.
All right, Cole. Good seeing you, man.
All right. Thank you guys for sticking around and doing that segment.
No
Doug, we'll be in touch. Hopefully get you booked the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Anytime.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Cole. Good week.
All right,
Talk
guys.
to you soon.
Good stuff, Malik.
All right, Malik.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Cole.
Likewise, guys. Be good, fellas.